Hello, my friends. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. And I am so excited. I'm finally ready to share with you the excitement of this beautiful book. It's a book that I had wanted for some time. I saw it advertised on Amazon, and so I decided to go ahead and get it, but they kept putting the date back. But eventually I got my copy, and I said that once I kind of had a chance to kind of, look at a little bit of it and take my time and come back and I can share with you. And so guess what? I'm ready to share what I've found in this beautiful book. And it's going to be, I'm not going to try to do the whole book because I want to have some as we work on down the road. But I wanted to get ready to show you what I found in, without further ado, the 260 Exquisite Patterns by Hitomi Shida, the Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible. Yay! And like I said, it was just a book that I had on my wish list. And then when I got it, I thought, oh my gosh, I better wish for more than just this book because this thing is packed full. So I wanted to go through it and just share the first part, and then we'll add more as we go along. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's start. Let's get into it. Well, first of all, very beautiful book. Nice size, beautiful presentation. And I'm going to do something a little different. I use book review as a category so that I can fit it in on my YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But to be honest, after looking through this book, so first of all, I want to say this. This is not your regular stitch book. As you know, I taught myself to knit by using stitch books years and years ago. I was a teenager, in fact, and from an old library book. That was the first book I ever had. Somebody threw it out, and my dad brought it home from work, and I started making that never-ending scarf. That was all I could learn, and that was, but that was, like I said, when I was a teenager. But as I got this book and looked at it, it is so different than what I normally use. The books that I've shared with you are books that, of course, that I can buy right here in the States, and I can get, they come out, there's all kind of authors, and there's all kind of different kind of stitches and books, and every so often they come out with a new one and I buy them. But the one thing that I would tell you and share with you when I would share my projects from a stitch book, well, if you can't find this book, or if this book, one of the books is out of print or whatever, you just don't have the money, look through some of your other books because most likely the stitch is in other books. So, I just got used to that, and I don't know, I think it's more like, and I know that I recognize swatches from one book to another. I can say, oh, I've seen that swatch in another book or in another place or on the net. So, a lot of times, most of the stitch books I use and I love, and I've shared them with you, so it's nothing against the stitch books. But a lot of times they're just, I guess, stock swatches. I don't know where they get the swatches, and then maybe the person just licensed their name to the book. A publisher might decide to print a book, and I'm sure he sends a thing out and asks anyone if they'd like to have their name on the book. Somebody upscale, somebody who's been, who maybe they've worked with before, who has books out. So a lot of times they're just books that people have licensed their names to. But the swatches are still beautiful, and I love them, and I've shared them with you, and that's how I made just all of my projects. Well, To make a long story short, what I'm trying to say is, after looking through this book, I realized that I am not qualified to give a review on this book. And I say it with with admiration. I'm just not qualified to give a critique of the work that this one person has put in. It is beyond my realm, beyond my imagination, beyond my skill set. And I wanted to say that right up front. So this is not a review. I use the word review just so I'd have put it in the category. But this is not a review. This is a presentation of this beautiful book, the way I see it. And I'm going to use 6 words as we go along to describe this book. 6 words that I felt, or that just leaped into my mind as I started to look through and read and separate and go through and took my time, and then I reread it, and words would pop up into my mind, and I'd stop and think about it. Instead of a stitch book, this is a body of work. This is exactly what it is. It is a body of this person's mind, soul, and spirit, a body of work that she has put together in this beautiful book. So, with that said, I want to just slow it down, take my time, and take you through. And like I said, I have 6 words, and each word I will show you, I will prove to you that each one of these words are appropriate for this book. So now the first thing and the first word that came to me, and I'm gonna just take you how this word came to me. First of all, I just start flipping through the book, just like you when you got it in the mail. I was so excited. And I started flipping through from the back, looking at some of the projects, to the front. Of course, I was going page by page, but just page after page. And I'd stop and look at some, and then I'd continue on. Page. I'm not going to try. Can't do every page. There's just too many, but just flipping through the work that is presented in this book. Just page after page. So right then I knew, okay, now this is, like I said, to me, meant, okay, this is above just a regular stitch book. And that's when it came to me, a body of work. And also, the word that came to me is love. What? You would have to really love the art of creating, the art of just creating something and staying with it until the end. One swatch after another. Just one. Now I'm going in this direction. Like I said, I can't hit every page. But just, like I said, 260 exquisite knitting stitches. Just one swatch after another. And the word, again, the first word that came to me as I looked through this book, I'm just sitting quietly in my studio, and I decided one night, I like being at night, it's quiet, the house is quiet, and I just looked at it and I just said, my gosh, well, you just have to love this. You would have to just love this beyond any measure. And you'd have to love it for a long time. This is not a short time goal. This is something that you had to decide to do and you have to love to do it. I'm talking about the whole body of work now. I'm not talking about one little swatch. And love is the first word that came to mind for me. Now, I'm going to go inside the book just a little bit so we can get a little idea of who Hitomi Shida is. Now, she's from Japan, and you know the family name is first, so if she was sitting here talking, we'd say Shida Hitomi. So it says here, I'm just going to read a little here and there. I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds. But I want to read you a little bit of, it says, about this collection of 260 knitting stitch patterns. It says, in considering a knitting pattern, I carefully scrutinize one pattern stitch at a time. I divide it into parts and try to reconstruct it. I divide it into parts and reconstruct it. Now, the reason that jumped out at me, because that's how I taught myself to knit, by deconstructing something. Because, like I said, back in the day, we didn't have knit groups, or if we did, I didn't know anything about it and probably couldn't afford it anyway. And so whatever I saw, if I couldn't figure it out from the instructions, I'd try to deconstruct it and then put it back together. And that's what she said. I divide it into parts and try to reconstruct it. While I'm knitting, I quickly change the original pattern to see where it takes me. That sounds like something I do. I can't stop trying new techniques. There are times when it goes smoothly, but more often I end up heaving a sigh of disappointment. We all have been there. However, I know that this process is very important to me, and I want to continue feeling the urge to experiment. On this road that I've followed, I have had a lot of support. I'm grateful and happy to be able to continue to knit from now on, step by step. I'll keep on developing my work. This paragraph here brings me to my second word. And that word to me is perseverance. Love hit me for just looking at the work, at the body of work as a whole. All of this just represents what a love this person had to have to, day after day, stitch after stitch, reknit, reconstruct, taking it apart. Okay, that's the love. Perseverance to keep going. She says, I am grateful and happy to be able to continue to knit. From now on, step by step, I'll keep on developing my work. Perseverance. So, the second word for me that I, just by looking at the book, little by little, I'm not even talking about getting into trying anything yet. Perseverance is a word that I found. And I thought, oh my gosh, it would take perseverance. Now, in the book, there's a content, of course. And then over, we have, of course, you start your information page, and eventually you're going to have your symbols. Now, the first thing I would say right off the bat is, as you look at these symbols, don't look at them. Because the first thing, it will shut your mind down. You would just start closing your mind down, and you'd say, okay, I'm not going any further. So we'll come back to that. I want to share with you one more word. And this word is word number 3. Word number 3 is patience. Patience. What patience she had to have. Let me read a little bit of this. It says, the gorgeous stitches in this book are the product of a single brain. I'll read it again. The gorgeous stitches in this book are the product of a single brain. This is her body of work. Like so many who find their niche in unexpected places, Hitomi Shida didn't set out to become a knitting designer, but during a period of recovery from illness, she was introduced to machine knitting and eventually qualified as an instructor. She later turned her attention to hand knitting. And in 1990, that's just hardly any time to have seized upon, to find something you like and then let it become something you love. In 1990, she participated in a group show, which was her debut as a designer. She began taking on work for magazines and yarn companies and published her first book of garments in 1996. From 1990 to 2018, look at the patience of one stitch working little by little on something that apparently she fell in love with. Now I want to read you a little something else. It says, this lovely volume is her second collection of hand knitting stitch patterns and the first to be made available in English. In this book, Shida offers insight into how stitches can be modified and varied to create new patterns. How stitches can be modified and varied to create new patterns. Every knitter is sure to find a new world of inspiration in these pages. That's word number 4. Encouragement. Encouragement to others. Encouragement to me. And what jumped out at me? Stitches can be modified and varied to create new patterns. Every knitter is sure to find a new world of inspiration in these pages. Whew, I thought, oh my gosh, that is wonderful. So as I was saying, as you're going through, then you'll come to your guide to the symbols. And right off the bat, I realized it's best not to worry or to really look at them at this point or at this time. And I'll tell you why in just a little bit. Because, well, just by looking at them, it's going to shut your, like I said, it's going to shut your mind down. But something she said about the symbols, and I want to read you this. In most cases, the guide to symbols explains one way to accomplish a stitch. Experienced knitters may find that they know another way to achieve the same results. I'm going to read it again. Experienced knitters may find that they know another way to achieve the same results. And then she gives an example. 1/1 crossing stitch, for instance, can be done in several ways. With a cable needle, by switching the position of the stitches, or by knitting the second stitch first. As long as you achieve the correct results, the top stitch slants in the correct direction, any method is fine. This is word number 5, freedom. With this one sentence, I felt freedom. Not to have to just, oh my gosh, okay, is this right? Is this right? Okay, it looks right. I don't know if I want to try one of these. I don't think I can do it. She says, any experienced knitter may find that they know another way to achieve the same results. So she lets us know that we are free to experiment with what she has presented in her book. Isn't that wonderful? First, the love of wanting to design, wanting to create such beautiful work. Perseverance, to keep going. from start to finish. 3, patience. During the time when she was sick, how she was able to just learn how to enjoy one stitch at a time, and before you know it, she had a body of work. 4, encouragement. Encouragement, or to encourage others. You too can, take this not as a whole, but one stitch at a time to enjoy. And finally, the freedom to do it. And one little word, one little paragraph over here. It says, if you use the patterns collected here to create knitted items, I'd be pleased to receive any hints you have. Now that takes real courage to put your work to present your work out to everyone. And it says, if you use the patterns collected here to create knitted items, I'd be pleased to receive any hints you have. Isn't that wonderful? I have one last word, but it'll be at the end. So, now, let's continue on through the book. Now, what I want to say as we come to a close, this book, like I say, is going to be a journey, and I will discover, or as I discover, as we go through it, as I discover more things or interesting things or things that, just kind of, that I'm interested in, of course, I will in turn share it with you. As I've seen others have bought this book, I've seen them on, after I got mine, I saw several others who also bought the book, so we'll just have to see what they, what their idea of this book or how they're going to use this book. But just flipping real, like I said, I'm not going to go through everything, but there's a good table of contents here. She has the stitches all separated into lace patterns, overall patterns, crossing stitches, kind of like cables, pattern panels, round yokes and edging, and one that kind of caught my eye is pattern arrangements. Pattern arrangements. How to combine things to make a whole. Just like when she deconstructed and divided things, then she put them all back together in different order or different ways to rearrange her designs. And that's how, that's what she was saying. So that's going to be something that will interest me. So first of all, let me just say this. Like I said, you skip over all these symbols because it will shut your mind down. But the first thing that you will notice, if you've already bought this book, and I know several have told me after I got mine that they went ahead and got theirs at Amazon too. Also, if you do have a Joanne, I didn't think they were going to carry it at first. I just didn't, sometimes you have to wait so long. But I have seen them at my Joann's. They normally have one. Don't ask me why. I don't know why they just have one volume. And every time I go there, I always check to see if that one volume's gone. Because if nobody gets it, I'm going to buy a second one. Yes, I said it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it to someone. So, but every time I go over there, they had that one volume. But at least you can use your coupon if you wait and get it at Joann's. Or you check your Joann's before you get it off Amazon. I don't know if the price has gone up in Amazon, but when I got mine, I got a spectacular deal. But I'm sure with the popularity, or as this book grows, I'm sure the price will up, and rightfully so. What I got for it was a steal, and I'm telling you, but I would have paid almost anything for it. Now that I see how great it is, I would have paid anything for it. I wouldn't care to pay full price. It wouldn't have mattered. But I did get that good buy. All right, so the next thing I was going to just simply say that this is not really for a beginner. I mean, it's not that you can't have the book or anything, but just on your own. Let's say it that way. On your own, this is not a beginner book. And as I'm, like for me, and like I said, I saw other people showing their book they got in the mail. We'll just have to see if they're going to use it, or how they're going to use it, or how they will share it. But as you can see, when you open the book, it's all charted. There are no written words. It's very in-depth charted too. It's very intricate. I'm not a professional knitter, but I am a seasoned knitter, and I do charts. So, but the problem with me is being at my age, I cannot focus or afford to lose any eyesight trying to look at little charts. So I'll show you, how I had to remedy, how I had to come up with a solution to feel comfortable in trying to, look through some of these designs and some of these stitches. But it is not something for the faint of heart or a real beginner, unless maybe you're going to follow someone on the YouTube who has bought the book and who is going to try to share something out of the book, a project or something. But it would be a daunting task to me. But, to each his own. The book is still worth buying. I hope it grows in popularity. I'm doing all I can because I just think it is a beautiful body of work. Okay, now on the ends of the paper thing, like I said, she has categories. Here's the bobble category, and then here is the lace pattern. She even has it separated: lace patterns with leaves. So that helps you to kind of, if you're looking for something, you can sort it out. Here's lace patterns with scallops. Now this is something that I look for because a lot of times when I'm doing sweaters, I do large projects, I need to know what the bottom of the swatch looks like to know whether I can insert it or does it have to be at the bottom, or, I just need to see. And so she does have a whole section on lace patterns with scallops. And here are some of them here. So now I can look at something and go, oh, this would be pretty starting at the bottom and to work a sweater. Not. Maybe. Look. I'm not going to get myself tied up. I'm taking, we'll see. Okay, and then over here, of course, these are some, they look familiar. In one of the statements that she made, I think it's on the back of the book. Let me see if I can turn over and read it right quick. Let's see if it's on here. Let's see if I got my glasses here. It says, Japanese knitting guru Hitomi Shida is known for combining different classic stitches to create unique new patterns. So right off the bat, sometimes you'll be able to recognize something that looks familiar, but yet she's put her twist on it. She's put her signature on it. And that's what that's how she puts, that's how she designs and puts things together. Like you've seen maybe something close to this, and then she's put her own, like designers would do. So a lot of these stitches are classic, but then they have been rearranged or things have been added to them. Just like she encourages you to take the same route, find something that you can do, and then put your spin on it or work it the way you can work it. Which, like I said, that was step, number 5. That was freedom. Freedom for all of us who, and all those that are going to buy the book, to try to get some enjoyment out of it, not just look at it. Okay, and then overall, and then a few right back here, I found some where there's some little information, little tips at the top that she wanted to just share with you. It says on these particulars, these are the pattern arrangements. This is the section that I will, hopefully try to learn or glean from as we journey stitch by stitch through this book. You notice I said stitch by stitch. It says using a small pattern to divide the space vertically between motifs. Using a small pattern to divide a space vertically between motifs. That is called a pattern arrangement. So that's something I will have to dwell in, kind of look into and just, see some of these stitches that look familiar, but you see she's done more arrangement. She's added more arrangement to it. She's added more stitches. So, all of these, a lot of these look familiar. The classic, the basic stitch. So, and then in here in the back, there's more, but I don't want to do everything on this one. That's rushing through. I have no idea. Some of these are just so great, but she does have some edge stitches, and you know, Jay loves edge stitches, so that is something that I can comprehend and look at right away, because this is familiar to me. So these edge stitches, and they should be familiar to you also, but that's something. Edgings. Okay, and then of course a lot more charts at the back, and of course there are still pictures. Now that's the only thing on this one. I do have to say the pictures are kind of a faded black and white that I don't know are really helpful or not. I'm just not into it yet enough to be able to tell you if it's helpful. But you can see, and I haven't done anything to my camera, but you can see they're just kind of like black and white type pictures, not much that you can really. And then there's more diagrams in the back, just to kind of, you know, kind of to help you. So, I've come to the end of sharing what I feel like that I saw in this book. It's not a review. It was not a critique. It was me just looking at one person's body of work. And it said in the book, from one brain, all of this work. So that brings me to my last word. And my last word is, again, the same as the first word. And that word is love. We thank you, Hitomi Shida, for sharing your beautiful body of work with us. All the love and all the perseverance and all the encouragement, the freedom, everything that you have in this book. I hope, I hope that we can take our time and glean as much as we can. But the love that you had to make this book, to create it, it's just much. We appreciate it so much. And for now, you to share it with us. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy knowing that as this book climbs in popularity, I just hope that people just really love it and fall in love with it, just like I have. Your work is beautiful. So, happy knitting. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Enjoy this beautiful presentation, and I will see you in the next video, because guess what? I have a project. I have a project. Look, simple project. I have a project to share with my friends from 206 Exquisite Pattern Stitches by Hitomi Shida. So, I'll see you in just a little bit.